a nice car, Mark.
Oh, thank you. Very much, I like it too.
What brand is it?
It's a Chrysler Pacifica.
Okay.
And we're still in electric mode. So the first 15 miles are going to be electric.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then it'll switch on to the hybrid. So you guys are going to Miami?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Let's take the 41 and we'll get there nice and
Good.
nice and easy.
We had our flights cancelled. We were leaving from Fort Myers at 3:30 today, but United Airlines cancelled our flights.
There is so much happening with the flights. It's crazy out there. Yesterday too. Like they cancelled most flights from Fort Myers. I don't know why. Did they tell you why?
Well, this one, our flight from Fort Myers was fine. It was the flight from New Jersey to Johannesburg. They had a problem with the plane. They had to take it out of service because it had some faults, which is a good thing to discover before we fly.
Right.
That left us with no aeroplane.
And of course we're joining a tour on the 5th of January in South Africa. We're going first to the national park, and then we've got other stuff planned. And because we couldn't get there, now the whole thing's in jeopardy because...
Well, I mean, you're surely going to make it before the 15th, no?
No, 5th.
Oh, the 5th?
Yes.
Oh, that is 2 days away.
Yes. Well, we were leaving on the 2nd,
Right.
and Delta cancelled our flight, so then I had to rebook it with United. And
They
then
didn't do that for you? They did not have another option for you?
They had no more flights till the 8th of January.
Oh.
I think they only go 2 or 3 times a week to Johannesburg.
Probably.
So, and then there were flights, but they were $8,000 and $9,000 from Fort Myers. So then I started looking at what was available in Miami.
Yeah.
And
Miami, do you fly now directly from Miami to St. Johannesburg or not?
No, we don't. That's the bad news.
No.
We go Miami to Paris, we're there for 5 hours, then we fly Paris to London, we're there for 5 hours.
No.
Then we get to Johannesburg. So
What?
we don't get there till 10 o'clock on Wednesday.
You get to see first everything, all of Europe, before
Yes.
you end up in South Africa.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was the only option we had.
You're going to go all the way to Paris, back to London, and then all the way down to... You would have gone up to Paris,
Yeah.
and then you go basically straight backwards to London, and then you go all the way south to Johannesburg. It's a very, very inefficient way of doing it.
Right.
But
because you have no options.
no,
You have
we
no
didn't
choice.
have an option. And of course we can't get a refund, and I'm not confident the insurance would pay the $10,000 for the tour. So then that leaves you, okay, how do we make the most of it? What do we do now? Luckily, we're travel agents and we can go through consolidators. So,
Oh, that's good. You guys are travel agents?
Yes.
So you know exactly what can be done, and
yes, and
that is good.
last night I spent hours. I was even looking from Miami to Rio de Janeiro to Johannesburg.
That would have been crazy too.
Yes. And then
We're almost going through Madrid there for a while.
yeah, Madrid. There's an airline. There's an Air Europa do really good airfares through Madrid and Portugal. So that was one of our choices. But they use Air Rwanda to go from Portugal to Africa, and I wasn't sure I would go through Air Rwanda.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, I didn't tell you about that one. That was a little bit cheaper, but it took, it took 40 hours instead of 30 hours.
That was bad.
And then some of them did 5 or 6 stops. There was one that went Lisbon, Copenhagen, Paris,
Oh, yeah.
Berlin.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you get to see something of the world.
Yeah, only for 4 hours at the airport.
What are you complaining about? Look, you get to see all these airports.
All these beautiful airports.
Jeez.
And they're all so nice.
You're right, Mark. We shouldn't be whinging.
Once you've seen one, you've seen them all, right?
Yeah. Well, luckily, this airfare is with American, and we've got status with American, so
Oh, that's nice.
maybe
And you get your flight reimbursed, not the one that was cancelled.
we got, our flights are reimbursed,
Yeah.
but
so,
it takes 10 days to come back.
Of course.
So, I mean, they keep your money as long as they can.
Exactly.
It took them 10 seconds to take it, 10 days to give it back because
Exactly.
it doesn't work that well for some reason. Like, no, fuck you, it doesn't.
Right.
How come I feel like I'm being screwed here?
And then not expected that you have it in 10 days.
Yes.
You'll probably have to do dozens of phone calls
Yeah.
and
Yes.
writing emails, and then finally you'll get it because
And they make you work every dollar of it back.
exactly.
But I think we can claim your trip across on insurance because this was a trip we didn't have to have if we
Oh, of
had
course.
left from local.
So
So
this is going to be a free minivan for you.
I hope
Oh,
so.
what?
No.
No, not yet. No, same old story. Yeah, we pay you, and hopefully one day, maybe,
Oh,
after we
exactly.
complain enough,
Yeah.
somebody might give us half of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But they will say something like, well, was it driven by a pink elephant? We think, no, it wasn't. It was driven
Yeah.
by Mark. Well,
Oh,
sorry,
they-
it's not
sorry,
covered.
No.
No.
Exactly.
A green Dutchman. Well, they're excluded. They're excluded, the green ones. Dutch or any other nationality. The green ones we don't do. Damn, he needs a different shirt.
Oh, you guys really do know how this business works.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So where is your travel agency?
It's home-based.
Home base, but like, is that here, Marco Island?
Yeah, yes.
That's your home. Okay,
Yeah.
you're not snowbirds.
No, that is our house.
Yeah, nice.
We've been there 20 years. We're Australian,
Yeah, I thought there was an accent there.
and we're off to Africa for Bronwyn's 70th birthday.
Oh, that's so nice.
So,
Bronwyn is that a South African name maybe?
It's Welsh, but
It's Welsh.
it's used in a lot of South Africans have the same name. A lot of English people.
Because it sounds a little Dutch as well. You would say Bronwyn,
Yes.
and then it's Dutch. And South Africa definitely has a lot of
absolutely.
Afrikaans is
Yeah.
Dutch.
we had the little Boer War from 1899 to 1904, remember? Where and that was mostly the Boers were all Dutch-free settlers, and they were pissy with the English.
Yeah.
And the English, being the big dog in town, actually, went to war with the Boers, and after 5 years, the Boers decided they didn't want to fight anymore. But taking on the British Empire in 1900 would have been a tough task.
Yeah, no, impossible.
Yes.
Well,
So we
we-
just kept letting.
We lived in Germany for a while in Stade, and we used to go to Holland quite often. They have
Oh, right.
awesome food
Right.
there,
Yeah.
and the groceries are so much cheaper than in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I mean, but the good food that you find in the Netherlands is not Dutch food.
No, it's
Because
not.
there's no Dutch restaurants.
No.
But we have a host of
But that's-
foreign
International, and
But
places
that's
like
like Australia.
Amsterdam's a very multicultural, international
Oh
type
yeah, for sure.
place too.
For sure.
There's one of everything there.
But we don't have a dish like pizza or like
No.
Italian
you're
good
not
food.
famous for.
We're not famous for any food.
Oh, you do have a Dutch apple cake that's amazing.
The apple cake?
Yes, the
Oh,
apple
my
cake.
mom makes apple cake.
And of course, you're famous for little boys who put their fingers in dikes.
Exactly, that's what we're famous for. So we
Yeah.
got a lot of little,
A
little
lot of
fingers,
windmills and
a lot of
dikes.
windmills.
And there's
exactly.
also a really nice dish made with phyllo pastry. It's a dessert, and it's got ground almonds in it, and
Oh,
it's really
I-
nice. It's a Christmas.
I'll tell you something
pastry.
you probably already know, I would suspect, but Holland's the only country that's ever increased its size without invading a neighbour.
Exactly.
And it's doubled in size since the Second World War.
Almost.
And
not double though, but yeah, we maybe like a third or so more. Or so.
What they're expecting is, with the increase in sea level though, that because Holland is the recipient of all those big European rivers, that you won't be able to, whenever these floods occur, that you may have to hand back 30 or 40% of it in the next 30 or 40 years because of, it's not that the sea level being 2 foot taller will matter that much, but it'll back all the water up coming during flooding, it'll back up 2 feet taller behind it all, and the infrastructure won't be able to cope with that. That's without them allowing to deliberately flooding areas just to take some of that water volume.
Yeah, but the only thing is that I agree with that. So is that like with the warming temperatures, seawater rising, but it's not going to be 30-40 years. I thought it was more like several hundred years. Oh
no, I don't think that's not several hundred, but it's the Dutch are inventive. They're not going to hand that ground back over without a fight.
Oh no.
It was too hard to get.
So how long since you lived in Holland?
Well, we're just going to be like build bigger dikes.
Well, it's, as I said, it's the volume of water. You'd have to build bigger dikes, and there'd have to be hundreds and hundreds of miles of them too, which would be a huge undertaking in itself.
We'll have to come up with something.
So how long since you've lived there?
20 years, or 22, 23 years now.
It's about the same as us.
Oh yeah, actually.
I'll tell you, I like old aircraft, and I read a story in a English magazine called Aeroplane Monthly some years ago, and it was about when this is in the late 1940s, early 50s, there was reports of a machine gun fire going off like every second Tuesday in the evenings for a little while, and of course eventually they tracked down all the noise, and it was the local Boy Scouts.
The local Boy Scouts?
And what they'd done when the Dutch had reclaimed drained a big chunk of what had been ocean, it was exposing aircraft wrecks from the Second World War.
Oh, really?
And of course this was very early on when they were doing that, and the Boy Scouts had gone prowling out into the muddy fields and found themselves a tail of a Wellington or something, and pulled the machine guns out of it, and being good Boy Scouts, they overhauled them, and they were, during scouting nights, they were firing it into a sandpit.
Can you believe that?
and of course the authorities confiscated the machine gun from them, but it started a whole process that there was a part of the Dutch army, and it still exists, which goes out to when anything's drained, to reclaim any munitions or human remains or anything, because there was hundreds and hundreds of aircraft went down in the Zolder Sea in the Second World War. And
oh, you even know the names of those places, Zuider Zee. I haven't heard that name for ages.
Well, we drove across the causeway, and of course I think it's been sealed off, being a causeway for so many years now that there's fresh water inside now.
So did Australians also come to Europe to fight in the Second World War?
Yes.
They did?
Yes.
Wow. Those boys were far from home.
We've been involved in, as a part of the British Empire, of course we were involved in every war that Britain was involved in.
Oh, of course.
But also we've been involved in every war that America's been involved in for 110 years, last 110 years.
Oh, really?
And in the case of the First and Second World War, we were involved in those wars before the Americans even.
Oh, really?
So I joke and tease the Americans and tell them that we see things similar, and we'd been involved in all the same wars for 110 years. But in the case of the First and Second World War, it's nice of them to bother joining us, which is funny to me at least.
Right. That is funny. Especially Australia, because you're on the other side of the world.
Yes.
Geez, that's so far from home.
But you know what, there was Fijians went off and fought, there was New Zealanders, of course there was South Africans, Rhodesians.
Oh, of course. No, but you were probably more allied with the Americans in the Pacific than you were in Europe. I would imagine.
Not before the war. Not right up until the Second World War. Australia would almost solely make British goods. So what the Empire had was a preferential trade agreement between the Empire. So everybody did better business within the Empire, and they charged anybody outside the Empire extra. So you wouldn't buy American cars on the basis that you could get English ones cheaper.
Oh, of course.
And there's some patriotism there. You believe you belong to a kingdom, and the kingdom, Holland of course had the Indonesia, the Dutch East Indies and all that sort of stuff. Once upon a time Holland had a considerable overseas empire.
Yeah, before. That was in the 1600s, I think. The EOC. But wait,
in fact, Van Diemen's Land, which is Tasmania, where we were born, Van Diemen was a Dutch explorer that found it in the 1600s.
Really?
So
I didn't know that they got that far.
Yes.
I know that they were in India, Indonesia, Philippines.
And he didn't discover Tasmania. He mapped parts of the Western Australian coast, which of course the Timor Sea. Then you've got the west coast of Australia. You've got the Timor Sea, and you've got Indonesia, which of course was the Dutch East Indies.
Right.
So back in the 1600s, they reached out as far as Australia. The Dutch got to Australia, but it was all desert and nastiness up that coast, so they obviously didn't find humans, didn't find gold sitting around, didn't find anything of value, and went, well, there it is, and wandered off again.
Right. Have you been a history teacher of some sorts? That's amazing how much you know about these things.
I have
I guess it's like part of your history.
I have a photographic memory.
Oh, that's your problem, eh?
That's my problem. So
wow.
If we start talking about something, it's likely to remind me of everything I know about it suddenly. So,
but we do history tours with our travel agency, so we can just pick somewhere like Scotland or Ireland or Holland, and we can, because Craig knows so much about it, we can find the museums. He can tell people the history, and
I'm enthusiastic about that sort of thing too.
Yeah,
so
also,
if you and if I wanted to take you on a tour of car museums or plane museums, I would be so excited to tell you about it. You'd go, oh yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because my natural enthusiasm would be infectious.
Yeah, you would be the best tour guide, because if you have a photographic memory, you know almost everything. Well, you know what? I'm going to step on it. Get on that slow truck.
It's not like everything's wandering around in my mind all the time.
No.
But it
pops up.
It's like if you said like the Zolder Sea, everything I knew about the Zolder Sea would pop into my head.
Yeah.
So you've got children at college?
Yeah, how did you know?
Oh
wait,
I
put it in my Uber account. Yeah.
So how many children and what are they studying?
We've been watching you.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching you.
Big brother.
We know where you live. We know where you live.
Yeah. The Empire is watching you.
We're reaching out. You're one of those balls, aren't you?
So how old are they? How many have you got?
So we've got 3.
Okay.
Boy, girl, boy. And the oldest is 24. And he's in California.
Yeah.
Studying music production.
Oh, how wonderful.
And then, he's working hard at that.
And he obviously loves music, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's always making sounds and making music. And like
ever since he was little?
Basically, yeah. Always voice with his, he's tapping his lungs and then singing and making noises. I don't know how you call it, beatboxing or something.
Yes, but nevertheless that was one of his natural loves.
Yeah, I would think so.
Which is a good thing. If you can work your natural loves into your vocation, you're far happier working.
Yeah, exactly.
One of our friends, Charlie Blum, he had a auditorium in New Jersey, or a big, he's got B.B. King. He's got 3 of B.B. King's Lucille guitars. He knew
Oh, wow.
Aretha Franklin, and he knows lots and lots of the. He's in music production on Marco Island, and he does stuff with the New Arts Centre on Marco.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I mean, he
So-
would be interested in meeting your little one that's got a love of music, because that's been his music
Yeah,
life.
Charlie's. In fact, he performs himself as well.
Yeah.
He sings and plays an instrument, I think, a guitar maybe.
But just about anybody you can think of that's in the news, he knows them, or knows
Really?
of them, or he's only recently moved to Marco Island. Up until recently, he had this.
So he's sort of famous himself.
Yes,
What was his name?
Charlie.
Blum.
All right, I'll
He's-
look him up.
He was a music producer,
Uh-huh.
and he's got I don't know how many gold records. I didn't count them when I was there, but he's got more than 20 gold records. They're all
Wow.
over his wall.
Wow.
Photos of him with all sorts of people.
Okay.
And when he goes to Las Vegas, I mean, he knows people that are performing, and if you happen to go with him, you can get backstage, which is really cool.
Imagine that.
So you've got what's your daughter doing?
And then my daughter, she's in Fort Collins in Colorado.
Colorado, yep.
Yeah, she's studying nature preservation.
Yep.
But mostly like wildlife preservation.
Well, that's a well-known agricultural college.
Yeah.
We worked there. We went there very briefly in the early 90s
Ah,
doing research in the beef industry.
okay.
So,
You visited there, yeah.
yeah, we spent afternoon there.
Okay.
At the
And so-
university,
and-
but Fort
Yeah.
Collins we were there for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, we're
and
at Fort Collins. We went to the university.
Fort Collins is really nice though. It's a
Yeah, it
real
is.
like a student town, I would
Yes.
say, you know. So the people on the streets are so young
Yes.
everywhere. Like it's the opposite of Naples.
No,
Yeah.
we're all so old. That's the
Well,
problem.
I'm feeling that too, you know.
Yeah.
But when you arrive in Naples and you look around, you just see so many old folks. It's just part of Naples, right?
On Marco, our demographics is changing. There's so many
is it?
young people on Marco.
It is getting a lot better.
Nice.
When we first came to Marco 20 years ago,
Yeah.
all the friends I made then were retired guys. So I was at the time 40,
Uh-huh.
and they were 70.
Oh yeah.
Now,
okay.
now I'm 59, turn 60 next September, and they're all dead
Oh yeah.
because
of
they've gone
course.
from 70 to 90. If they're not dead, they're not there living in a condo anymore. So all the people I made friends with the first time, the memory of Craig Jones on Marco Island 20 years ago doesn't exist today because all the people that had the memory of me are gone.
Yeah,
So I'm finding that in the last 20 years I keep making friends with really bright and interesting people who have done amazing things, and inevitably they up and die at some point because they're all a lot older than me.
yeah.
But it sure is.
Yeah, that's
I-
Marco Island.
I knew John Collins, the man who went round the moon when Aldrin and Armstrong went onto the moon.
Oh really?
So
you knew that guy? He was in.
yeah, he lived on Marco
too.
Island. I've got an E-Type Jaguar, and he loves my E-Type. He died last year.
He died last year.
So,
Oh,
but he was jogging right up until a couple of years ago. Amazing fellow.
wow.
So you've got a son. What the other one?
And
What's
so,
he doing?
and so my daughter, to finish the story, is that because you mentioned of my son that he is basically studying his passion.
Yes,
right?
good idea.
And with exactly, and with my daughter, that's the same thing because we have a farm in Haiti, and with a lot of animals.
Yes.
And she just was always with the animals. She just loved the dogs and the cats and the rabbits and the goats and the horses and the this and the that. All the animals that we had, had over there. And so I would say that she also like is studying her
love.
life's passion. I think she's always been very connected to.
She
the
sounds a
animals.
compassionate human.
Yeah. So I'm very happy for them. And then the youngest son, he's still with us. He's 17.
Well,
And he
he's
goes
still
to
making-
Naples High.
And he's still making up his mind a bit, I'm sure.
Exactly. He has no clue what he wants to study. But he loves sports, and so he's all into soccer and training every day and getting better at it.
Is he good enough to be a professional athlete?
Let's say yes. There's definitely a possibility in that, and it's all about hard work, I think.
Yes.
Also.
Does he have the heart and the passion to try?
I think so. He does.
Next question, of course.
Yeah.
Because if it's a good hobby, then it's a good hobby. But if that's the case, he needs to find something to do that'll feed him as well.
Yeah.
But
so I think that he definitely does. Now, how high? Maybe he will be playing in Turkey instead of like professional soccer, instead of
yep.
in the UK, for example. You know.
But anything like that would be a remarkable experience.
I think so too. Yeah. Or smaller clubs in the Netherlands, or smaller clubs here in the US. You know, because here also you have like the MLS, professional league. You have top athletes and minor athletes in there. You know.
But at his age, though, he could just as well have not found his passion yet anyway.
No, but the good thing with him is also that he would like to study, and the US is so good for that because you can go to college, play really high level sports, and get a degree in something.
Yeah, and come out of it with, as an accountant,
so that's
or
like a plan
something.
B also.
Yes.
He's right. Yeah. And that's what he wants to do.
And because they want people that are good at sports, because that's how they generate their income.
Ultimately, if he does some form of degree that gives him a business management degree, then he can always tie that into his passion when he's no longer young enough to be a professional sportsman, become a manager for professional sportsmen or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
And use his degree in his love.
Yeah.
And, marry some skills together that make him unique.
Yeah, that's also what he has been talking about. That he, or maybe something medical like physiotherapy, or
then go into sports physiotherapy.
Exactly.
So if you can find a related something or rather that you're interested in, and then marrying the two together, then it's probably going to give you a lot of mutual joy too throughout your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And people do far better in the world if they're doing things they like doing.
Right. That's so true.
A lot of wisdom to go be the ballerina if that's what you want to be.
That's so true.
Because you probably do it well. And not mind the sacrifices required to make it happen.
And not always let the money talk first, right?
Yeah, I found when I've done things that I've been passionate about, often the money flowed consequential.
Exactly.
But it wasn't the focus. It was the passion that created that outcome. But it was the passion. Without the passion, none of it would have happened.
So true.
So true. It's easy to spend a long time doing something you love doing, and it holds your focus and your attention. You don't get bored, and you don't want to go do anything else because you're having fun. If I can get a job, if I can get something to do like that, I'm an entirely happy human.
Yeah.
So, do you enjoy driving?
That's exactly true.
Good.
Yeah, I love driving. I love driving itself, and I like meeting people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that is why the Uber is so nice to me.
Yes.
And then what I do with it, I record my rides.
Yes, okay.
And if you want, I can publish it to my YouTube channel.
Oh, if you wish.
Wonderful.
I have a YouTube channel, and I publish my rides.
Oh, how wonderful.
There.
That's cool.
Okay, you need to...
You like that idea?
Yes, you
Now
need to make sure we have your contact card as well. There we go. Thank you.
1 and 2.
Oh, thank you.
And then I'll publish it probably tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
Videos of today. And then if you see it and you change your mind and just
No,
give
we
me a
won't
call.
change
No, we won't change our mind.
We're
We're extroverted.
I can tell, yeah.
we're about to start a YouTube channel ourselves.
Oh, really? That is so cool.
Craig's a master carpenter and a classic car restorer, and we've just about finished our house. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright replica, well, inspired, I guess, and it's really beautiful. There's lots of wood in it, and it's an amazing house.
The house where I picked you up?
Yes.
We've rented that house for $2,500 per night.
Wow.
So the inside of it is all hand-built, custom furniture with tables that change heights and glass floors over swimming pools and LED lighting on wooden ceilings, a big curved wooden bench tops. The whole house is handcrafted with a big lift up door that raises up and opens up a staircase that takes you down to a speakeasy with a secret bedroom in it.
Wow.
So the house is all full of.
You did all of that.
Yes, I can make anything.
And it's
Part of my photographic memory, I'm mechanically gifted with a photograph. I'm a left-handed dyslexic with a genius for mechanical things. I can make just about anything.
Wow.
So it's been my gift in life. So allowed me to go anywhere in the world because you need one of them, mate. Oh, of course, I can do that. How much did you say you'd pay me?
Yeah,
So I've always been able to feed myself because I know enough about enough things to be able to do lots of things.
But the next project now, the house is done.
Okay, here comes the next one. Yeah.
It would be a shame not to pass on the skills to enthusiastic people and teach them how to make whatever they wanted out of wood or restore a classic car. We've got a 19...
This is Bronwyn's father's 1928 Austin 7. You know, little baby Austin motor car?
Sort of.
Oh, okay, it's a really miniature 750cc 4-cylinder motor car from 1928.
1928.
It's complete but entirely ruined and unrestored. So what I wanted to do is get 4 young people and get them to get a grant, and they can pay to come and join me, and I will, over a 3 or 4 month period, dismantle the whole thing with them, fully rebuild it, build a new body, rebuild the diff, the engine, the gearbox, the suspension.
That's super.
And repair every single broken, and turn it back into a brand new 1928 Austin 7.
Oh, you got to document that well.
And what we were thinking is doing that on as a YouTube channel.
Yeah, you should.
Allow to see, because the whole thing will get done in about 3 months. So it's not a. If you were to put up I don't know, what, an hour a week or something, I guess. I don't know what would be appropriate, but basically there's an opportunity for a young person to. The 5th young person I'd like to involve will be somebody who is mad keen on creating a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And has an interest in old cars.
Yeah.
And what I'd let them do is do that whole thing.
Yeah.
And share with them whatever remunerations that come out of it. But if they're passionate about old cars and building an internet channel, I have the perfect content.
Now you need a video editor.
Yes, some young person
everybody has a phone in their pocket with a camera.
Yes.
And if you have a few people with some good phones, you know, those can record the footage.
Yes.
But the work is really into the editing.
Okay.
Because this is no effort on my part. I press start, I press go, it's running the whole day, that thing. But when I come home, I have to edit all these videos, and that's really that's the hours of work.
And that's why they need to be inspired. We know very little about that.
Yeah.
But a young person who wants that in their life, is passionate about it, what a great thing to be able to give them the opportunity to build such a thing.
Yeah.
And we would get the reward of that would expose us to the world. Yeah. Because after that I have an old 1949 Wolseley, and I have an old Rolls Royce, and I have a Jaguar, and I have I want to build an aeroplane, and I want to build a helicopter. So I would happily continue with this process of the person making documentaries of all these things that have been created. That's a shame.
This is it.
And at the same time be paid through grants for the young people to come and learn.
Oh, that is such an awesome thing to do.
And so, what the children would get out of it would be, of course, the ability to in the case of they will have made a motor car.
Well, and they're learning a trade. Everything
from the mechanical side of it through to making the wooden body and then clothing it in metal. And
you could actually also do a project like that, maybe together with a technical school. No?
Yes.
Like maybe like a technical school would be looking for projects to put their students to work on.
And we thought that as well. So part of when we're away on holidays, we're going to be talking about how when we come back,
Yeah.
how we're going to try and make that shape. But part of integrating that into the travel company was that at the end of it, I'd like to take those 4 people to England and take them to Longbridge where they made Austins or something of that nature, and take them to the Bewley National Motor Museum or something like that in England, and that would be part of it. The last week of the thing would be them being in England and going having. There's a ship in Newcastle in the Science Museum in England called the Turbinia.
Okay.
And the Turbinia is the world's very first turbine ship.
Oh look, there goes an airboat.
Yes.
Down the
Having a ball out there, isn't he?
They make so much noise.
Yes, they
I
do.
heard it all the way over here. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, the Turbinia still exists. It was made in 1890, and she's at the museum, and you can
1890, and that's a ship.
turbine-driven steamship. So not reciprocating engine. We're talking a turbine like a jet engine, steam blowing propeller blades around.
Really?
Now he couldn't get the Admiralty interested in it, so what he did, the British Royal Navy review happened at a place called Spithead, which is in the south coast of England, and the King stood up on the end of this big mound of land, and the Royal Navy and every country in the Empire paraded ships before him, and he saluted the ships. They paraded before the King, who saluted them, and that happened every year or every couple of years that they come. And so these engines at this time were only capable of making these ships go like maybe 24 knots, maybe 28 knots at most, but that was, and only for very short periods of time.
But that was super fast for those days.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was really the fastest anything really went.
Exactly.
Well, the Turbinia would do, I think, 38 or 42 knots, and it was
really,
and it was 105 feet long, I think. So she wasn't little, but what he did is he came up through the so all the Empire's navies are being displayed before the King, and the King's watching, and they come through the middle of it all and carved everything up. Flat out, 42 knots or whatever, just literally round everything, and the King of course went, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, exactly.
At which point of course they had to take his turbine seriously, because there was nothing in the British Navy that could keep up with it.
So did his engines then get used then afterwards or not?
Well, the concept of turbine engines took off at that point, and then they obviously lots of people in different companies developed versions of turbine engines, and eventually they made them better and better, of course. So, but he is nevertheless the starter of the person who started the process.
That may have well been also the precursor to jet engines.
Well, yes, it is. But that was the first jet engine patent by Sir Frank Whittle was taken out in 1932. So the jet engine is now...
Also with an Englishman?
Yes.
I thought that the Germans had the first jet engines.
They had the first jet aircraft. The Heinkel 177 was the first jet aircraft to fly.
Okay. But the English invented it, actually.
Yeah, Whittle did, and he couldn't again get the... He was an RAF pilot, and he displayed before the King. He was a very accomplished pilot, but he couldn't get the Air Ministry to take him seriously about his jet engines.
No.
And he very, very gradually developed an engine called the W1, Whittle 1, and it proved of concept.
Did that go on the Meteor?
No, later the Meteor was like, that was a early Rolls-Royce Derwents on the Meteor.
Wasn't that the first English jet fighter, the Meteor?
Yes, but the first English jet to fly is the Gloucester W4328, which is 43 was for 1943, and I think it was a 28th contract put out or something. That aircraft exists too, and that is the first aircraft to fly in England, and it had a prototype Whittle engine in it.
Wow.
So, and when they moved it from airfield to airfield, it had to have an escort with RAF fighters to make sure that nobody come along and try to shoot it down, because it was a one-off type. So someone might think it was an enemy aircraft.
Right.
The only aircraft that could keep up with it was the Sabre with the 3,500 horsepower engine in it, going into an emergency war boost regularly just to keep pace with the thing.
Jeez.
It was that much faster than, and this is just his first off shot at the and trying to make a jet aircraft. But his engines are the centrifugal flow engines, whereabouts most of the jet engines that were produced in Germany, they were actual flow engines. So there's some different fundamental nature in how they operate. So
the jet flow engine, how did you say that?
there's a coaxial engine, and that's driving normally a two-stage turbine. You've got to keep all the air inside a jet engine's got to remain subsonic. So otherwise it'll the shock wave will put the fire out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you get shock waves developing. The SR-71, the Blackbird, has those big funnels on the very fronts of the motors, and what they do is they move in and out, and they effectively make the hole smaller so that only enough air can get in there that the engine can process it at a subsonic speed.
Oh really?
So they keep making that hole smaller and smaller and smaller, so the engines are don't blow out. So
wow, you are a walking library, I would say.
of vague
library.
information.
Jeez, an overload, man. Jeez.
But you know what? I'd love
Beautiful. No,
to. I'd love to
it.
take somebody to England, a group of people to England,
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's
and
what
show
we
them
were
the
talking
Turbinia.
about, yeah, but also like those 4 students that you're looking for. So where are you going to look for them?
Well, that's all to be thought out.
Yeah.
I tell you, when you want to start something, we're trying to build a picture of what we'd like it to look like, and then we'll try and work out where to find the pieces that make it look like that.
Well, exactly, right.
So
and plus it's...
You don't know what you don't have until you have a think about what you think you want.
Say that again?
I'm not sure I'm certain about this though.
I like that as a slogan.
We're creating something from nothing, and we do that
Yeah.
really well. And it's inspiring to the kids that we've got 5 kids to see
You have
that
5.
Yeah, we got a TV in the end.
You're a little ahead of me.
Yeah,
We're almost the same age though, but...
Yes.
our youngest one is 25, and she wanted to be a circus performer, a silks performer, or she wanted to go to Florence and learn to be an interior designer. But her other brothers and sisters said, get yourself a feed yourself job, because a university degree doesn't help you when you want to make money, or you're trying to buy a house, or you need a feed yourself job and then go to college. So
how do you call it? A feed yourself
feed
job?
yourself job.
It's a skill that pays you well enough that you don't have to live in poverty whilst you try and get a college degree as such. And just get yourself a basic skill that you can pedal out, and it'll keep you, it'll look after you whilst you're.
And then try to develop your hobby kind of thing.
Yes.
So she decided that if she become a cosmetologist, everybody, whether it's a recession or it's boom time, everybody needs their hair cut or coloured. So she went off and did cosmetology school.
Cosmetology?
Become a hairdresser.
Oh, that's always good.
So she works at the JW Marriott. She does mainly bridal makeup, bridal hair.
Wow.
She earns between $4,000 and $5,000 a week.
I was just going to say that money's no longer a problem for her
No,
anymore.
She's well on the way to owning her own place, and she's 25.
Wow.
Her and
I'm so happy for her.
she's just had a baby. The baby's 4 months old, and her husband.
Congratulations, grandparents.
Thank you.
So her husband works with Condi, the air conditioning people, but he's also a plumber, and he's really smart. So he looks after the baby during the day and does on-call for Condi from 5 till 8 in the morning. And she works at the salon. She was happy to stay home, but she's a good little capitalist in her attitude. She just she wants to pay the house off.
Yeah.
They bought a house 2 years ago, and they've only got a third of it to pay off now, so they almost
Wow,
own it.
nice. That's always a good investment.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, that comes
you know
back.
what?
Yeah.
The end result is currently they're living in a house, and if they just continue to pay their mortgage payment as usual, their rent is now, and you consider that a rent payment,
Yeah.
they've got their rent down to $250 a week.
Oh wow.
So, and their property, if you wanted to rent it, would be
$3,500 a
So,
month.
all that extra money now is able to go into things in their life that they want to achieve and
In
do.
the future, sure.
Yeah. So effectively, by
Yeah,
not paying rent for the next 30 years, they're able to devote that to their lives and their experiences and the things they want to have and do and see.
It's such a smart investment, really,
Yes.
to buy a home young and work really hard to pay it off
Yeah.
while your children are still small.
Yeah.
Just get
Because
it
then
done.
the kids are cheap still, relatively,
Yes.
right? And then you can put a lot of money into your home, and that comes back to you later in life.
Yes.
Gives you freedom, right?
And
Yeah,
you,
you're
Because
you,
money buys you freedom.
you also get to enjoy the home through that whole period much more so than you would a rental property,
So true.
because you're going to put up with things in a rental property.
I wish I had met you when I was 25.
Well, it's hard to explain to
I'm still renting.
it's hard to explain to kids
Yeah.
to pay off the mortgage to get the PMI down,
Yeah.
so that you're not paying as much interest, and it really is hard because
Getting a young person to put off gratification for a long time is a
That's
hard
what
thing
I'm
for a
trying to
young
say.
person to do, because
It is.
when you're young you're impatient and it's
Yeah.
all about now.
Exactly.
And what do you mean this will be good in 20 years time or 5 years time even? 5 years time I'll probably be dead.
Yeah.
that's our youngest. The next one is 30, and he's just brought a house and land package, and he's going to build the house himself. He owns a business. We bought him a business when he was 14.
You bought him a business?
Well, he had a smart mouth, and we thought he'd
Yeah.
get killed at high school.
Well, more than that, he wanted to leave school, and I said you can't leave school until you get your year 12,
Until you what?
until you graduate year 12.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Or get your GED
Get
or
your-
SAT
yeah,
or something.
Get your year 12, and don't even be trying to talk to me into letting you leave school until you've got that done. Okay, at that point, then fine, you can just talk about it. So he's a fairly bright boy, so he went and got it in like another 18 months.
He
Oh,
brought
really?
all the SAT books.
And he just did the whole bloody thing. And he comes to me and goes, "There's my year 12. I've got the SAT, GED thing done. Now you said I could leave school," and I said, "If you leave school now, they'll probably come and put me in jail because you're too
Right.
young
You're
to
too
leave
young,
school." So we enrolled him in homeschooling. And
Well, so what was his goal to leave school? Why did he want to
He
leave
hated
school?
it.
just
he
didn't like
fit
it.
in.
Oh, he didn't like
Bright,
it.
he didn't like it. He wanted to get on with the
He
world.
thought the teachers were all stupid.
And he's a little bit of an arrogant little bugger sometimes, but it's moved him well through the world as well. But at the end of that, I said, well, how about he's very mechanically minded like I am, so, and he'd been learning a lot off me throughout his life. I said, well, buy a small engine business and I'll work with you for a few years. And when you're old enough to leave school, etc., you take the business over. So that's effectively what we did. I bought a business, he worked with me in it, and he was enrolled in homeschooling at the time. So everybody, 40 was at school and everybody was happy with that. So
And then he's past this.
yeah, he just needs to get on with it, doesn't he?
It's never,
So,
because it's so long.
All
Anyway,
these years later, he's still doing it. It's feeding him and his family, and he's building a house with the proceeds and all the rest. So, what a great outcome! He's got a good woman in his life, and she's lovely.
His wife's lovely. And he's brought a Steelmaster kit house, and he brought a lot of land at Golden Gate Estates, and he's in the process of building his house.
No, he's
It's a
Oh,
two-story big barn house.
right from the point that he's had to
Nice.
get a machine in there to pile up all the dirt onto the building site, and so he's starting with a bare piece of land with trees and stuff on it. So he's cutting himself out a bit of nature
Oh, nice.
to make it.
And where
his
is
own.
this?
Golden Gate Estate. It's not. It's about.
Oh, the estates.
Yeah.
Yes,
Here.
the estates.
Oh, so he's close.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's close.
Oh,
And-
yeah, the estates are beautiful.
And
The other day I
Lynn
had to
lives
drive
near.
in there.
Lynn lives near the Botanical Gardens
In Naples.
Oh,
in Bayshore Drive area, which is just so upmarket.
your youngest.
Yes.
Yeah.
the
She
girl.
she bought a condominium in a gated community. She's the little
Nice.
hairdresser. Is buying her own little house as such. It's a condominium.
Nice.
And then the other three are in Australia. The
Oh,
next
they're all
one,
three in Australia. Those three.
the next one, our son's in construction. He's a what do you call it when they're in charge of a project manager?
Okay.
And in the company he's working for are Irish based,
Mm.
and they're making all the train stations in Melbourne City underground. So they're
making underground train stations.
they're making an underground.
Like a
So-
metro.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically, yes. The railway lines going down the Port Phillip Bay
Oh.
are all above ground, and Melbourne has a great tram system on it and a good train system. Well, those trains, of course, go through every single street and intersection, and when you're trying to get around parts of Melbourne, you end up hitting train lines all the time in the
Yeah.
middle of, you know, lots of built up buildings and shops, and then there'll be a little gap and there'll be a train line and the gates will come down, and so they're very, very, one, dangerous, but also pretty inconvenient to the whole world to have the trains
Yeah.
coming through frequently and quickly. So
But-
they're
But
trying
they
to.
said this is not metro. This is train.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Regular
what. But
train.
what they're trying to do now
Mm.
is put all that underground.
So they've done
So
it.
that's a much bigger job than building a metro.
Yes,
Yeah, the train
yes.
is a much bigger machine.
Yes.
So, well, these are electric trains, of course. So,
Yeah. Like in the Netherlands, we have some of those too.
So- but they're trying to get rid of all the junctions and crossroads that are littered through. And initially, they're doing it on all the big major streets.
Yeah,
So
of
it's
course.
still
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
going to be a problem on the secondary streets. But
Mhm.
so they're not burying the whole thing; they're burying
Yeah,
them under major roads, which means that's a half-mile long tunnel, though, because by
Right.
the time you start digging a hole in the ground and get it deep enough and then pop out the other side, you've covered half a mile.
Right.
But he's always had a passion for building.
Nice.
But he didn't go to college, he worked his way up. His idea was, I want to do the digging in the dirt before it comes up. So he went to a labour company and he worked his way up all the way through the ranks
Because
until,
he's smart,
yes.
he gets up there. He reminds me of my brother. My brother started working at companies also on the bottom, so to speak. You know, like he was driving those little trucks that lift stuff.
A forklift, yes.
Yeah, exactly. He was driving those, and then finally he became a manager of the storage space, and then eventually he ran the business.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now he's a director of many schools, and he does all sorts of other things, but he got way up there.
Yes, and he started out driving the forklift.
Yeah, he started off from the bottom, but he always kept studying.
Yeah, and that's
You know,
what
that is-
Morgan does. He knows stuff and he gets licenses for all sorts of stuff and the
That's
company pays for him.
Smart
Yeah.
to get the licenses. Then you become more valuable for a company.
Yeah.
Yeah, smart.
And the
Sounds
ne-
to me also that your kids really also found their passion.
yes. The
working
next
their
one
passions.
the next one works for a cybersecurity company
Okay.
that it's internet based. She's a
Okay.
executive assistant to the CEO.
All right.
they're based in Melbourne, but it's an international company, and she just loves what she's doing. And she's
Right.
just got her master's degree in project marketing.
So she's IT based.
Yes.
By the way, have you seen this visitor center? Oh,
Yes,
you've
yes, we've been
lived
here.
here many years. So
Yeah, we've
you've
been here.
many.
20 years we've been here.
The other day I visited here with my son, and so many alligators. It's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, they
And they're just so beautiful.
Yes.
You know, they remind you of the dinosaur.
oh certainly
Times,
they're
like,
prehistoric, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They don't look civilized, do they?
No, it wouldn't care whether it bit you or bit a dog.
and then if you look at them you have to look at them for like 5 minutes or so before they take a breath.
Yes.
They do breathe, of course, but like once every 5 minutes, when they're just sitting there enjoying the sunshine, you see their belly go up and go small, just like once every 5 minutes. It's amazing.
Yes.
We do live in a remarkable place.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, this is remarkable. Can you actually tell me where I should, if I want to see the Everglades, and especially like, I don't like the airboats, it's too noisy for me. But if I want to be discovering the Everglades as a walker, as a hiker,
There's the
where would I go?
There is, if you Google it, there's lots of people that do kayak tours through the
Yeah,
Everglades.
those are nice. I did that once. Yeah.
there are the park near when we came out of Marco and turned right onto 41 to now. Just down the road a few miles was the national park, Seminole National Park.
Oh.
You can go and camp there, for instance. You could take a canoe along, but there's also one just north of Fort Myers called Love Lake or something. Is it? What's it called?
No, but the one that you just described is around the corner from us, because
Yes.
I live in Naples. So
Yes. You
so
come
that is
along
right
40.
there where you
Cypress,
turn onto
isn't
the
it?
41.
Yes.
Seminola Park,
Yes.
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you come back this way, you'll actually go past. It'll be on our right-hand side right now. So.
Mhm.
Keep an eye out as you get close, and it's you can go in there and you can get a permit to camp for the night and
Or a week.
or a week or whatever. Yes, or just go
I'm not
visit
much
it.
of a camper, but it's actually a good idea. And so, do they also have rentals for the kayaks over there?
I don't know,
They should.
but
I'll
kayaks.
look it up though. Yeah.
Fortunately, you can buy yourself a kayak from Walmart for
Mhm.
$280 sort of dollars, $250. That sort of if you enjoyed the thought of going kayaking, it's not a dreadfully large investment to.
It's true.
And I'm sure that if you went on you could buy a second-hand one for $60 probably, $100 or whatever.
So true.
And canoeing is fun.
It is really.
You can buy a little canoe now that you pedal, and I think it drives a propeller like a pedal car
Oh,
did
I
when
saw
you were a
that.
kid.
You pedal it with
Yes.
your feet,
Yes, and
and then
it
like you cycle it as
Yes.
a bicycle, but then it moves the propeller that moves it forward.
yes, that would be a.
Actually, that's a great idea.
I'd prefer that over having to pedal the damn thing, you know.
Yeah.
And, I imagine you probably still want to pedal so you can steer, but that's not too hard to do.
It has those that you're talking about. They have a little lever on the right side that you can steer with.
Okay, so
you,
it has
you
a-
steer with your hands.
So it does have a tiller on it. Okay, that's easy.
And
then.
a little rudder on the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't get a six-pack from that.
No,
So
but you.
the six-pack comes from
But you-
working your shoulders and your arms and your belly.
Yeah, but you'll still have a nice day.
Yeah, okay.
It'll still be a nice day,
That's true.
and you'll have lovely biceps.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, good.
And you'll have nice legs. Okay, don't worry about it.
Right.
Keep your shirt on and wear shorts. Show off
I
your
like
legs.
that. Show off the legs.
Yeah.
There you go.
Don't you like my fetlocks?
I bet you get a lot further though with your legs, because the legs are look at the legs compared to my arms. So the legs are much stronger.
Yes.
So it's probably more energy efficient to go further with a leg-powered
Yes,
boat than it is with a
I would say
arm-powered
so
boat.
too, because you're
Yeah.
you're going to, you can do things, you can walk for hours,
Yeah, exactly.
but you're
But not on your hands.
not normally doing things with your hands for hours.
Exactly.
Well, it's a bit late now, but I just checked that I had my passport.
Are you checking to see if you have your passport?
Yes.
You're right. Now would be the time to do that, like an hour
still
ago.
got back.
Yeah.
What time is your flight, did you say?
7:21.
No, you got plenty of time.
Yes. We're on an upgrade list, so they want to make sure that we get upgraded. The earlier you're there, the more likely it is that they might give you an upgrade.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay. You mind if I pass this one too?
Go right ahead. You.
My wife always tells me no.
Ah,
No, she doesn't like that. Like stepping on it and...
I brought cars from Australia, so 4 of our cars drive from the opposite side.
Oh, of course.
And the only trouble with that, if I do want to overtake, I've got to get well back so I can, move the nose of the car over the centre line so I can see.
Right.
And you don't want to do that unless you can see far enough ahead to get back to your own side.
Right.
So if you don't have a very powerful car, you can't really overtake because you simply can't get way back there and then
On time,
get
yeah.
past it quickly.
Right.
So you need your passenger. You need to move over a little and say to the passenger, "Is it safe to overtake?"
Can I go now?
Yes, exactly. And trust that they've got enough sense to judge that you can do it.
Well,
So
if your passenger is somebody who drives, it's probably okay.
Yes.
Like, you wouldn't want to ask a child.
not your 7-year-old. Can we do this? Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it. I kick it hard, but we can do it.
I see that happening too.
Yes. Yes. No.
Right,
bad
we were
idea.
with number 4.
Oh,
Here comes number 5.
number 5, she was a passionate ballet dancer and she went to Performing Arts College in Sydney and studied classical ballet to be a classical ballerina.
Wow.
She performed at the Opera House.
She did.
She went on to go to Melbourne and study all forms of dance. Have you ever heard of a book called Mao's Last Dancer? Chairman Mao. It was made into a movie.
Ah.
Chairman Mao, in the early
Cultural Revolution.
he went to the villages and chose boys that he thought would be good for ballet, and he took them from their families
Okay.
and made them into ballet dancers, and it was a pretty harsh life for them. And this young boy, he escaped China into England. Then he, with his mum, they walked over the Tibetan borders and escaped. They went to England, then they went to America and he got citizenship there, and then they went to Australia. Well, he was one of Kara's dance teachers in
Wow.
Melbourne.
Wow.
And she gave me the book to read, but she didn't tell me he was famous. And when I said that's an amazing story, she said, "Oh, would you like to meet him? He's one of my teachers."
Wow.
Well, maybe you should have told me that before I read the book.
Right.
Paid more attention.
Anyway, she has 3 children now, and she's a yoga teacher. She also is a relocation expert, so if you go to Melbourne and your company's relocating you, the company that she works for would make sure that the schools were in place for you, that you knew how to open a bank account, they'd find you accommodation.
How to put the power on and the gas on, or how to get your car registered, or
So
they'll help you settle into another country.
So she works for a company that helps other companies to relocate their personnel.
Yes.
Wow, I've never heard of a job like that, but of course that needs to exist
She's
too.
it's called a relocation consultant.
Okay.
So she'll get retained by a company for, a couple of days, and she'll do a whole bunch of, and she'll get told what they're looking for. She'll go out and make all the preliminary organised things, and then when they arrive, she'll spend a day taking them to a few choices of houses, for instance, and they'll pick one of them, and she'll then facilitate them getting the kids enrolled and whatever.
It's such a nice service to have, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she also works for a company that decorates at Christmas time, but places like the JW Marriott or the Ritz-Carlton, they will put
Big Christmas trees.
34 Christmas trees in their foyers and decorate.
She's a professional Christmas tree decorator.
Wow.
On a
The
scissor,
oldest,
on a
your
scissor,
oldest daughter.
yes, on a the scissor lift things, because big trees that you'd find in a hotel for you.
Oh, really?
Because it was not conducive to teach ballet easily or to dance when you have children. Her children are 7, 11 and 13.
Already, because ballet is really a top sport.
Yes.
You can do this as long as you're young and flexible, and then become a teacher, or not. Well, she couldn't do it because of her children being a ballet teacher.
And she had a ballet school teaching little ones to dance, but she said the parents were a pain.
Oh, really? Gee.
Well, but then she was teaching yoga at school, but she enjoys what she's doing at the moment.
And that's most important, really.
And they study something, they do something, then their life evolves. So as long as they can evolve with it and find something that fits in with their life, if they're smart enough, they'll keep educating themselves. And
so if I counted correctly, you have 3 daughters and 2 boys.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow,
we
you guys
have
have been blessed.
7 grandchildren.
7 grandchildren. Wow.
Yeah.
I tell mine to please wait
Yes.
with my grandchildren. I mean, I love them to see them in the future, but they're still in school, so.
Yeah, special message for the 17-year-old, especially.
Exactly.
The older ones are somewhat to blame for themselves at this point.
Right.
Luckily, all our children were established. Lynn's husband desperately wanted a baby, and Lynn said, "Oh, I think I want one. I've always wanted one, but I'm not sure I'm ready." But they just adore their little baby. She's so pretty, and she's so bossy though. They can't believe how much in control she is at 16 weeks. No, she knows what she likes, knows what she wants, knows.
I'll complain loudly if it doesn't go her way.
Exactly.
But she's a dear little love.
That's true. We're all born with a passion for life, so to speak. And we know the things that we like, and we want certain things. And there's always these parents that say no, not yet, or wait. All these words that you don't want to hear.
You can only let your children do things that you're confident they can do, and therefore they're capable of more than you allow them to do, which was perpetually frustrating to them.
Yeah.
As it was to you when your parents stopped you.
Exactly.
And at the same time, their wisdom, retrospectively, you didn't hurt yourself as much as you would have in various ways, left to your own devices.
Yeah. The art is, I think, also to give them as much freedom as possible, right?
Yes.
Let them explore life
And make mistakes.
And bear a few consequences of stupidity, so that they understand that, you know, what you do need to be smart in life, because some things will bite you.
Yeah. If you continue doing it, it'll bite you.
Yeah, you know, and if you got away with a bang on the top of your head for your stupidity, that's a good start to go learn and move on.
Exactly.
And so many people prevent kids from anything bad happening, but if you don't know bad, how do you know good? And life's like a swing. You've got to go up to come back. If you're just sitting and it's stable, you're not learning anything. You're not out of your comfort zone.
Sometimes I also think that it's the whole human experience is also based on the fact that this is a planet that revolves around the sun, and so around itself. So you have seasons and you have day and night.
Yes.
But that reflects in our personalities as well. So that's why there's good and bad, I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
Because there's no such thing as good and bad for a lion.
No.
A lion doesn't do bad things. And there's no other lion going to say, hey, you did something bad.
No, it's not how. Well, you know, to some extent, though, animals do ostracize one another. You'll see,
They
if you
correct
ever,
each other, yeah.
Have you ever seen a bunch
true.
of horses together? One of the horses has been
Biting
or being unpleasant, they'll all bite
That's
that
true, right?
horse, and they'll also turn their back on the horse, and they'll separate it from the herd until it
Oh.
learns to be pleasant.
Oh, really?
So there is that. The animal kingdom does have a bit of that. You know, we don't like what you're bloody doing, and you're going
That
to
is
do
so
better or else. So they will ostracize one another.
Huh. I did not know that about horses, though. I could imagine that with monkeys.
Well, they're the same in
But-
that sense. They have social structure.
Yeah. As soon as that is a herd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you get social structure, you want to be part of something, then you're also susceptible to doing what you're told.
Yeah. That's so true.
But you're right, the yin and yang. The yin is for everybody. Everything that's good, something is bad, and everything that's bad, there's some good in it. Because the black and white yin things, the white one has a black dot and the
Exactly.
black one has a white dot, just
Yeah.
reminding you that
Yes.
there
There's a
is-
lot of shades of grey out there, and they all have their points.
Also. But because it is like, yeah, day and night,
Yes,
the way the earth revolves.
you're right.
And that has an influence on our characters. The other day I had a lady in the car and she read my horoscope, and it scared me actually how precise that was. And this is based on the planets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, that means that the planet Venus and Mars and Pluto and all of these, Uranus you mentioned, and the Sun of course, and the Moon the most, they all have an influence on our characters
Yes.
and our wantings and do's and don'ts and things like that.
Yes.
And isn't that just magic in a way to realize that life, that everything is connected? Now it is easy to say with a tree that it's connected to my being because I
Both
breathe.
living organisms.
It's
essentially.
yeah, and I breathe the oxygen that a tree produces, and it needs my CO2 that I
Exhale to exist.
So it's part of my being. I can, and of course the planets too, right? It's, everything is part of being alive.
Yes.
Do you want to know what? I'll tell you something that is fascinating. And Bronwyn's heard this before, so I've told other people. Do you know the purpose of lightning?
The purpose of lightning
Yes.
to discharge. I think I'm just making this up now. I don't know. But
Okay,
I
what
always
happens is
think
it does discharge. There's three types of lightning. There's CG lightning, which is cloud to ground.
Okay.
And we know a bit about that one because it's the one we're most scared of.
Right.
What with us standing on that ground at times. Then you've got CC lightning, which is cloud to cloud lightning.
You see that in the clouds sometimes.
Yeah, you see it bouncing from one cloud to the next.
Right.
But the nearly all lightning is actually CI, which is cloud internal. And that's because the top and the bottom of the clouds get charged in opposites, and then the discharge through the middle is that great big spark which we see as lightning. Now what that is plasma. And what the plasma does inside the cloud is it oxidizes nitrogen out of the atmosphere into the water, and that's why rainwater makes your garden grow so nicely, because it's been nitrogen enriched by lightning inside the cloud. So the lightning turns rainwater into fertilizer that we can drink.
Can you imagine that?
Now that's the
So
purpose.
you're actually saying.
That's the purpose of lightning. It turns water into fertilizer to make. Now, isn't it amazing that the whole thing has evolved like that? That's an amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be accident. It's so perfect.
We obviously plants that like nitrogen have got to prosper in that environment, of course, because had it been acidic, I guess plants that were acidic would have prospered instead.
Right.
Of course, so the result is not unexpected, but it's amazing that it occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that we're here.
Yes, yeah, it is rather, isn't it? For how long, I guess?
There is more and more talk also that we're the only ones.
I don't think so. You know what? If out of trillions of planets and trillions of stars with trillions and trillions of planets around it,
right.
And who's this, and I don't think they're driving along in a Chrysler Voyager. They could be anything that we can't even. Pacifica, we can't even begin to imagine what other life forms might actually be like. But it's hard for me to believe that out of the trillions and trillions of opportunities, this was the only one that bore fruit. Now, I'm not saying that we'll ever maybe be able to reach out and identify these things, but I'd be very surprised that there wasn't a lot of other types of existences out there in the universe.
Yeah, so that what they did is they made a calculation of what is the chance that humans evolve, and so being the pinnacle of nature, so to speak, and that we're the only ones that seem to build roads and homes and ships and stuff, radios and what have you not. The chance that intellectual life evolves is also 1 in the trillions of trillions.
Oh, certainly.
And so that negates the trillions of planets out there their life could be. The chance that it happens again may not exist.
Oh no, that's certainly a possibility. You know.
Well, you're very open-minded.
But I think
say it like that, yeah.
I think that if you could ultimately get an answer, I'd be far more likely to believe there's other forms. And as I said, they don't necessarily aren't but water-based. They could be bigger, smaller, unintelligent, really intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, that there is life, like as in plants and animals on other planets, that must be, right?
That's what I'm getting at. And therefore that's life, that's alien life, isn't it? If
it's true.
Originated in another planet, that's what it would be
but
to
then
us.
Intellectual life that we can communicate with radio signals and ships and stuff like that. That is another story.
Okay, probably. All the spectrums of frequencies of light that we see as humans, in all the frequencies available of light, we see a very, very small part of a percentage of them.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're televising radio noises out into the world, out into the universe, it could well be that absolutely nobody else is anywhere near those frequencies to even care.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they're not doing something in their own spheres, but
interesting.
And if we do find some other life form, the most likely thing we tend to do to it is kill it normally. So if anything, we're naturally fairly aggressive beings because we're that way with each other.
Yeah, they'd probably be afraid of us.
Well, correctly so, and we'd be afraid of them, and the best thing we could probably do is kill them on that basis.
Right.
So,
that's our conclusion.
That's how that tends to work. Let's say hello. No, let's just kill them. You don't think that'll make them angry? No, kill them anyway. So
basically what we did in the past.
Yes, it's always worked out well before. Just ask any oppressed nation.
When we came to these lands from Europe, wow. We weren't too friendly to the Indians, were we?
No, gave them smallpox.
Yeah.
I've teased the Americans a little about Thanksgiving is when the Indians fed the Pilgrims because they were starving to death. Didn't we half pay the Indians back?
always a sad vision to see
Yes.
kill the animals on the road.
Yes.
Must try to avoid that, but cars go so fast that sometimes it's impossible to avoid it.
When I went to Australia early last year now, I borrowed my parents' car the day I got there, hit a kangaroo and smashed the front of it.
No.
So I had to go, they got up in the morning, I had to look my mum and dad in the eye, it was like I was 17 and go, oh, I crashed the car last night, mum and dad.
Wow.
so
You said that was last year?
yeah, that was February.
So your mom and dad are alive in
Tasmania.
Tasmania?
No, I
Wow.
was in Tasmania twice last year, but the first time I crashed their car, and whilst I was there, I had to fix and repaint the front of their car. So part of my visit in town doing the body work on their car where I'd smashed it.
Now went your holidays.
Yes.
So, so kangaroos are not very smart then, or they?
No, this was a wallaby, in fact, which is a smaller version of kangaroo. They just hopped out of the scrub, and I was turning a corner, and I was only doing about 30 mile an hour, but you know.
But they didn't hear you come in.
Probably not, and
They're a bit like deer.
they're a bit like deer. You know, you wouldn't trust they would suddenly
they're
turn
not
around and
very
run back or
smart.
something.
Right.
No,
Deer are not very smart.
no. So they're likely to do something stupid and actually run out in front of you when they could have just stood there or turned back or so. And being the front of the little car was, you know, plastic bumper bar and plastic headlight and everything.
And that's a big animal, yeah.
Yeah, and I said a wallaby's a smaller kangaroo, but still it would be 35 pound, hit at 30 mile an hour, so there was enough to do damage to the car.
Sure. Well, wallabies too, kangaroos. I'd like to see that one day. I'd like to visit one day.
Australia's a very interesting place to see.
Yeah, is it? It's huge, no?
Oh yes.
It's huge.
Most of it you wouldn't bother to see because it's
Right, it's just desert.
it's just this desert and stuff. Yeah, so
Right.
and that's uninteresting. You might go look at Ayers Rock if you were that interested, but once you've done that, you would have actually seen the equivalent of like 85% of the place. But the rest of it,
it's that coast
and across the bottom, that would still take you. Take you in months and months and months to look at the rest of it. It's still huge.
Yeah, really.
So
how many million? What's
people?
The population? Yeah.
About 30 million, I think.
30 million.
28 million, something like that.
That's something like the UK, or not?
Well, UK I think has more than that.
Oh really? Okay.
I'm not
Imagine
sure now.
that, eh? Imagine that, because Australia is its own continent.
Well, the population of Australia is equal to the one in Florida.
Yeah, it's 30 million.
Yeah, okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, Melbourne has got, I think, 3.5, 4 million people in it, and I think Sydney's got a similar amount of people in it. So, like, the two biggest cities have probably 25-30% of the nation's population in them, though. So the rest of the space has got there's a fair bit of space between a lot of people in a lot of places.
Wow. Have you been here before, the Everglades
No.
Park? No?
Haven't we been there to the art centre in there?
No, I don't think we've been
I thought we went and looked at paintings in there once.
here.
It's funny, that's where all the tourists go, and then people that live here have never been there. And I
Yes,
still need to go
we live on a tropical island, and I don't go to the beach very often.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a world-class 6-mile long crescent beach.
Yeah.
People would die to live here on the beach, and I go, oh hum ha, I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. I've got things to do.
And things to do, but not off to the beach.
You don't really want to go on a holiday inside your own town either.
No, because you always drive past your own house and go, oh, I should be mowing the lawn.
Right.
It's not like a holiday then, is it?
So where in Naples do you live, Mark?
On Davis, near the airport.
That's nice and central.
It is actually. It's 10 minutes from the downtown and the beaches, and
Yes.
some Publix nearby, which is convenient. And then, Naples is nice. There is not so much to do, but that's okay. We got Miami nearby, and and I eventually got used to driving to Miami for family visits and things like
Yes.
that. We got some family. My wife's sister lives in Miami, and cousin.
Is your wife Dutch or is she American?
Neither. She's Haitian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, met her in Haiti.
And now, are you we have dual nationalities. We're Australian and American.
Oh, yeah.
You're obviously Dutch, I would imagine, by birth.
Right.
And are you an American now?
No, I've only lived here for 2 years.
Okay.
So we were before here. We were living in Haiti,
Yes.
and for about 6 years, and before that in Mexico for my work.
What
so
do you do?
I'm an IT consultant.
Okay.
So what I do is basically websites, databases, systems,
Right.
and just managing the help desk. Basically for one non-profit that takes care of orphans in Central America and
Okay.
South America.
Do you
And,
do it for other people as well, or not?
IT? No, not too much. I'll help my mom and dad
Yeah.
with their IT trouble, but no, I don't really, because that's a full-time job that I have with them, and it doesn't pay great, so that's why I'm also doing some Uber
Yeah.
on the side. But they stole my heart, and it's such good work that I
Yes.
just
You feel good about what you were doing.
exactly, you feel good about what you're doing, and that is that's important to me. Yeah.
We met in the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
She's
You met in the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
She started the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Tasmania. She founded it there
Wait,
back in.
you?
Well, not the whole, only the branches.
She founded the Tasmanian branch of the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Because the children were dying before people could come across and make their wishes happen.
Uh-huh. And so, how did you then both were connected to that foundation?
Bronwyn was a midwife, still is a midwife, I met her through midwife when my first wife was pregnant with my son, who's the one who owns the small engine company.
Okay.
The youngest one is our child. The next one up has a small engine business, is my child. The older three in Melbourne are Bronwyn's children.
Okay.
So they all sort of come into our worlds in different ways at different times as a consequence of that evolution.
We have a similar story. The oldest two are her children, and then the youngest one is ours.
Yes.
But they're all three ours.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, but then nevertheless they come to you from various means.
Yeah.
So what was life like in Haiti?
Not a lot of electricity, no running water often. In that sense expensive, because I'm a guy that I would like to have my running water, so you would have to buy a water truck to fill up your water basin to have running water in the home, generator to run so you have electricity.
And you probably didn't have it going all the time, you're only running it when you're cooking and whatever, yes.
At night, and then turn it off when you go to bed, and charge the batteries from that as well for the daytime. But things would always break. You would always be busy with repairing stuff, and quality of service is so low in Haiti. People are so uneducated with a lot of these jobs that it's a little bit of a struggle, but it's also not what's really important. I would say it's like what's important is that people are very nice. They're just very good friends. They're very strongly connected to their families.
Probably there's a strong Catholic religion there, I would imagine.
A lot of strong, Catholic, Christianity. There's a lot of voodooism as well, which is in a way also a religion.
Well, that's part of that's part of that culture.
Yeah. And Well, what struck me is that families are very tight, and you have to, because society is so tough. There's so little work. People work for
Better help one another.
$100 a month, and it's tough to survive over there. To have enough money as income to eat.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that live in self-built, I would call them shacks.
Yes.
With a dirt floor. And of course there's a middle class. We were part of the middle class. Compared to the farmers, you're rich, but compared to the rich, you're
poor.
Yeah. It's all relative, but
we have that experience on Marco Island, that the were, compared to the people around us, were poor.
Right. But compared to my apartment, you guys are rich. And so,
yes.
Yeah, it's all relative. Yeah.
Yes.
So what's important indeed are the relationships that we have, and the things that we do in life. Important. It's.
So, are you going to be able to, or do you wish to become American?
Interesting. I don't have the wish. Being Dutch is fine, but if it gives me a financial benefit, I might. But I now have a green card. I would have to have it for 5 years.
Yes.
I'm not sure I will be here for 5 years.
Right.
Where will you go?
I have no clue. I don't know. I don't find American society very
Welcoming.
Oh, it's welcoming. Very much so.
Have you? We're foreigners. You're a foreigner, so we have certain common experiences.
Yeah, sure.
I love being. I do enjoy being an American. I do enjoy living here.
Yeah.
But there's cultural things about food, and I never ever meet anybody that grew up in the same street I did, and we chat about growing up in the same town and all that sort.
Right.
Because I have nobody here I ever have discussions with about what I did last time I was fishing in the Zolder Sea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where the fuck's that?
Yeah.
So you miss things in your life that you would normally just not even realise you would miss when they don't exist.
Yeah. That's
You're unfamiliar culturally with Americans sometimes.
How did you meet your wife?
But I wanted to say one more thing about the Americanism, though, is that but I do enjoy living here a lot, and I see that there's so many opportunities for the kids to go to school.
Yes.
Here. It's probably the greatest country in the world to go to school to. Europe is not that bad either, for sure. And the youngest may end up going to school in Europe in the end, but the oldest two, they were born in Miami. They're Americans, and that's why we're here. So
okay. Well, they can help you stay here if it comes to that.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That was a decision you wanted to make.
Right. And that's why we're also here. Well, first because Haiti became too dangerous, but also because we wanted to be here because of the kids going to school and being able to support them.
We came here. We were going to move to Spain, and we love the Mediterranean. But when we came here 20 years ago, we had 2 young children. The 2 youngest ones, we've spoken of them, a mechanic and the hairdresser. And we brought them here because of the greater opportunity that existed here.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, we probably would be sitting in Spain in a villa somewhere today.
Yeah.
Or Italy or
something like that. Because we culturally liked that perhaps more than we did America, but we recognised that we had responsibility to our children.
Right. And that is what guides our lives, isn't it?
Yes.
Like our families.
You're trying to make sure the next generation has a better opportunity than you had.
Exactly.
So,
and we look at our younger 2 are doing much better than the ones in Australia because there's more opportunities here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You've got a socialist country in Australia where it's really hard to get ahead. You pay so much tax.
Yeah.
You can earn lots, but
Same
lots
in
go
my
out.
country. Yeah.
yes.
So many rules and so many regulations.
Yeah.
That makes life very restricted. And that is why the US is such a wonderful country to
It
be
is a
in.
wonderful
But, you know,
country.
sometimes some people do better inside the cage, and some people do better outside the cage.
It's so true.
So the older children are more familiar with Australia and more likely to exist comfortably in it than the ones that have grown up in America. They
Yeah.
go. So,
I can see that.
and although we would have preferred they all ended up here because it would have been ultimately better for them, they're adults and they make their own choices.
Sure.
And I think when our daughter wanted to have a baby, well, all our kids when they wanted to have a baby, it's a much safer, easier place.
Can you excuse me one second?
Sure.
Gabilo. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Where are you?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, you're in my... Oh, okay, never mind.
Can you take an Uber or take a ride? Oh, you already hang up. He knows the drill. Okay, go ahead.
My mom's at work.
Gabi.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes? What were you saying? You want to say something?
Yeah, see if you can take a ride, get a ride or
Oh, no, I was going to ask you
get an Uber.
to the school, but I'm with Kelvin.
Oh, okay. Alright, all good.
Yeah.
Bye.
That's your boy.
That's the little one, yeah.
He's gorgeous. He sounds nice.
Oh, he's such a wonderful kid.
Now, does he speak Dutch?
He used to, he lost it, and I wasn't able to keep it up with him. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It'd come back to him if you dumped him in the middle of it.
Yeah, I would hope so. We lived in the Netherlands 2 years. Well, wasn't a great success for my wife. She thought it was too cold. She was always complaining about the cold. And
Didn't like the hills.
and it's flat like us. Like
Oh, exactly.
here.
No hills.
No hills. And maybe that's what she didn't like. Exactly.
No hills.
And one thing that I wanted to say, what I don't like about the US is that it's such a car-driven society. I feel like that, or it's, let's say it differently, it's just one of these things that I really miss about the Netherlands is that you can hop on a bicycle,
Yes.
go to a few shops that are always nearby, and
And those type of shops don't even exist here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When we lived in Germany, we lived there for a year.
yeah,
You'd get on the bike and you'd ride to the little village and you'd get your bread and your cheese and maybe some milk, and then you'd come home and the 80-year-old people would be riding faster than you could manage a bike, and
yeah,
fit and healthy.
yeah. And didn't you know your neighbors better
Yes.
in Germany?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a little bit more connected or so than here, because we're all in cars. You don't see each other as much.
I like small communities because
Yeah.
in a big city like this, you could yell abuse out the window at this person in the white car next to us, and you'd never see them again.
Exactly.
In a
yeah.
small community, you want to be a bit careful doing that because you'd like to have the guy in the white car on your doorstep going, "Yeah, you prick." So
Yeah.
it makes everybody nicer to one another when they're more likely to run into you again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, but okay, so that also means that maybe in other communities in the US that it's more like that as well.
But certainly any big city you come to,
But Naples,
you lose all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Naples is very much, everything is so far from each other, you have
Yes.
to do everything by car.
Marco Island's a little community.
Smaller, yeah. You could cycle probably a lot.
Yeah, there's lots of beautiful cycle
Oh,
paths.
there's actually a
yeah.
bike path. There's a designated bike path throughout Marco Island. You can ride over a lot of Marco Island without being on the roads even.
Right. And then you asked me how I met my wife.
Yes.
So that was I was working as this IT guy for this non-profit, and they have an office in Haiti.
Yeah.
And so I had to fix some computers in the office. they sent me over there, and she was working in the office as an accountant assistant. And yeah, our eyes met, and that was that.
You thought, she will
Yeah.
make a good assistant for me.
Exactly.
My new assistant.
My new assistant.
Oh, how lovely.
And it turned out that you turned into her assistant.
It's yeah, that was yeah, almost love at first sight.
Good. Isn't that
because
nice?
I had noticed her in the office already, that she was cute and things like that, you know. But I thought she would speak French in Haiti, so, and I don't know any French, so didn't approach her until one day she came to me, and oh no, I went to her and asked her something about money or something, and to my surprise, she was like fluent in English. So then I had somebody also to communicate with in the office, and that was
Yes.
nice.
So how did she learn English? Why was she?
She had lived in Miami with her former husband in Miami.
Okay.
That's where
Oh,
the first
okay.
children were born.
So her English was actually probably very good.
Yes. Yeah, without an accent also. It's just American. She sounds
Yes.
American. Yeah. And but when I proposed,
You
she
did
said
so in
yes.
Dutch.
Going Dutch. Very funny.
Proposed to
And-
her in Dutch and she said yes.
Yeah, she said yes, but she said, I gotta move in with my mom one day because I need to take care of my mom. And because that's the Haitian way, yeah. You don't put old people in
Yes.
homes. You take them in, or you move in with them, and you help them out. So,
And is her mum still well now?
oh, she's very well. She's in
Oh,
great
so
shape. Yeah,
This is not
no.
something that's happening tomorrow then.
No, she's in great shape. Although we did move to Haiti to live with her mom eventually. So the first 10 years we were. in Mexico
Where is her
most.
mum now? In Haiti?
She's actually not staying with us for a while.
Okay.
And then, but her main place is basically Haiti. Yeah.
Does she like it here with you?
Oh yeah, she's American.
Oh, good. So
She's
it
American,
wouldn't be.
but-
She speaks English well as well.
Oh yeah.
So she's able to integrate herself here quite comfortably and easily, which is
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Look at that number plate. It says Gulag.
Gulag.
What is a Gulag?
The Russian prison,
Oh, that's a Russian prison.
the Gulag.
The
yes.
Gulag. Oh wow.
It's where they'd send you if you weren't a good communist, or they took you as a prisoner. You'd end up in the Gulag.
Makes you curious though.
You got to wonder why he'd want that as his number plate. It's not an endearing thing.
No, right? Gulag.
It's been fun travelling with you, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. An interesting conversation.
You'll be able to edit us later on and relive it.
And probably gonna do a few more rides in Miami.
Today.
Yeah, I might as well. Although it's getting later too. We'll see.
How often do you drive?
Yeah, when I have time. Normally I would like drive between 3 and 9
Okay.
p.m. And then the first half of the day is for my full-time job, and then the second half of the day for Uber driving. And then it depends on what's happening at home.
Yes.
If my son has a game for soccer, we'll go there.
And does your wife work as well?
She works for Catholic Charities. She's
Oh, how lovely.
a good organization, I'd say.
Is this car a very economic car because of the way it works?
This car?
Yes.
So far we're now at like 40 miles per gallon.
Yes.
So for a minivan, that's very economic.
That is very good. Yes.
Yeah, most minivans do like 20, 25.
What is the size of the? Oh,
It's a 6-cylinder.
so it has a fairly big engine in it as well.
Yeah, but it runs very low. But it does. It's like right now it's running, it propels the car forward, but it's also charging the battery.
Yeah, it's spinning there. The electric motor is a generator.
Yeah. Which is propulsing the or feeding the electromotor. And so it yeah, it's more economic somehow than only the gasoline engine. No, I'm very pleased with this car.
Does it have what's called regenerative braking on it?
Yeah,
it does. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's money. That's giving you petrol back effectively.
Oh
because
yeah.
That's a good answer.
That's
it
why
takes some of the wasted energy back out of the car.
Oh yeah. And actually, you'll see, like, if I let me see if it's this ramp, right?
It
Yeah.
says airport
Yeah.
ramp only. Yep.
So when I'm doing 50 and I brake to 0, then I'll be sitting at the traffic light without an engine, so it just runs off the batteries, and then I can pull up until about 30 pure electrically.
Yes.
So you go from 50 to 0, and then from 0 to 30, basically from 0 to 30 for free.
Yes.
Because that is with electricity that you just generated
For your movement. Yes.
with your braking, exactly. And then to go from 30 to 50, that's the gasoline engine then again.
Yes.
But so you see that from 0 to 30, that speed build up, that's pure savings.
And when it overtook, it felt like it had reasonably good performance.
Sorry?
When you were overtaking cars earlier, it felt like it had reasonably
It has, yeah,
enough power to overtake
Yeah,
properly. and everything.
reasonably, yeah. Oh, look at that airplane. That's a beautiful sight. You see that?
Oh yes.
Exactly in front of us.
Geez, must have a fair bit of fuel on board looking at the dihedral on it.
Oh, I love flying. Flying is just the most awesome thing.
Are you a pilot?
Well, so I flew a little bit of ultra light airplanes. That was just amazing. Ultra light, you know, those very light.
Yes, yes.
It was like a one engine color. It looks like a Cessna, but it's much lighter.
What was it?
I don't remember the name of it.
It's the Light Aircraft Association. What a great category.
And it was, well, it was in Mexico. So in Mexico, this guy had a hangar, and he had a garden with a flight strip.
Yes.
In his garden. That's where we would fly from. And but it just looked like a small Cessna. But I forgot the name. He also had like Pipistrel or something. Pipistrel airplanes.
Right.
Have you ever flown?
I was a pilot in Australia.
You were a pilot in Australia?
But only a private license.
Private light, you were like bush flying or what?
No, just for fun.
For fun also?
Yeah, just
And, what
no
would you-
purpose to beyond I wanted to learn to fly.
And so you would fly Cessnas or
Yes,
like
152s, 176s, that sort of
177? Yeah,
Piper
exactly.
PA-28s, that sort of fixed gear. It was just a simple, straight out light aircraft license.
Nice. I hope one day to be able to do that too. Yeah,
I'd like to get back to it, which is why I want to build a helicopter and an aeroplane
sure.
so I can have a fly of both of them.
And what would you do though? Would you go back to the flying the Cessna or a helicopter? Learning how to fly a helicopter is super appealing, but it's more expensive.
Well, that's why I wanted to build my own helicopter, because that makes that a far cheaper process. And at the end of it, you have a helicopter too. You'd spend the same amount of money and end up with. If you want to get a commercial helicopter's license so you can do something with it, you've got to get, I think, 350 hours, and at $300 or $400 an hour, it's a lot of money.
That is, yeah.
But I don't want a commercial pilot helicopter license. I just want a light helicopter that I can play with myself in the local area.
Oh, have you ever thought of a gyrocopter?
A gyrocopter?
Yeah.
There's a couple really nicely built kit helicopters,
Yeah.
and and they are a proper helicopter with Subaru flat 6 Subaru, no, flat 4 Subaru engines in them.
Okay.
So, and they, you know, I think they're like 140 horsepower car engine and coupled up to a proper helicopter with a collective head. Yeah, but you've got to put the whole thing together yourself.
Oh wow,
So
that is for you, yeah.
So but out the other side of it, you would have a helicopter worth a good deal more than what you've paid for it.
Sure.
And you can learn to fly it for very little money.
Sure.
Basically, the fuel you're pouring into it.
Yeah, practicing with it.
So, and that would never count towards 450 hours to get a to get a helicopter license. But that's not the type of license I'd want anyway. I just want to be able to play with it on weekends and fly over the top of Marco Island. And
do you have space to build it?
not now, but
we're looking for it.
we're looking. Part of the school, ultimately, when I want to build this at Austin and teach students, and then they've got some other cars to build. At the end of it, one of the projects I'd want to then build would be a helicopter, followed by a 90% aerodynamically accurate Spitfire. That's a kit plane. Takes a 375 horsepower LS Chevy engine and a fully aerobatic and retractable gear and constant speed prop.
Is that also a dream?
Kit airplane, yes.
A kit airplane. Yeah.
So
they call them Spitfires too?
sorry,
You just said Spitfire?
it's a 90% scale Spitfire.
Huh.
So it's aerodynamically correct. It's 90% scale. It's a lot lighter than the Spitfire because it doesn't have to have armour plating in it and machine guns and
Right.
all the rest of it. So whereabouts the original Merlin had 1,040 horsepower in the Mark 1 Spitfire, 350 horsepower out of a Chevy engine's going to make it a very lively aircraft. And I would like to put that together and again do that with students. Do that as an experience for young people to join me in doing it. But, the best way I can do that though is build up a couple cars first so that I show a track record as such.
Yeah, it all starts with the first car.
Yeah.
I agree. You wouldn't want to start with a monster project, but start with something that is doable.
Which is why the 1928 model car, it's a very simple motor car, so it's...
Have you visited the Naples Car Museum?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Collier collection?
Is that the Collier?
Collier collection.
Yeah.
Miles Collier.
I forgot his name.
When Craig went round, he knew more about the cars and the people that were the guides.
Yeah, I bet. I was impressed with that museum because it was
beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I have they have some Hispano Suizos there.
What?
And the type of car literally means Spanish Swiss. It was a car company that was parallel to Rolls-Royce in the very early days.
Okay.
And I have a car with a overhead cam engine, which is an Hispano Suizo designed engine, and there's only 2 of them in America. So they want to see the car. They want me to bring one of my cars along for them to look at, because it's such an unusual vehicle. This car was my first car when I was a 16-year-old child.
How did you keep it all these years?
With a great deal of, with a lot of difficulty, because I lived all over the place. So.
And one divorce.
And one divorce, yes. It survived a divorce and all sorts of things. Get my little fingers, get my fingers on it. So, yeah.
That's amazing though. I can see you start a museum one day.
Yeah.
He did have one in Australia.
I had a car, I was part of a car museum in Australia. And, we've been busy with the restoration of this Frank Lloyd Wright, the house now we know you a little bit. I wish I'd taken you inside and let you see it. The inside of the houses.
But he only lives
Remarkable.
close by. When we come back,
Oh, he could come visit one day
Who knows?
and have a look at the inside of the house.
I'd like to see that.
Which terminal we go to?
American.
American.
International.
That's the
No, we're
Terminal
domestic.
1.
International, where are we going?
I think it's Terminal D.
Well, America is Terminal 1.
She'll just check.
Okay.
Of course, we're flying international, maybe it's not.
Gate 23, Terminal D.
Terminal D, okay.
It's Terminal D, you said.
Yes.
I thought it was 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I'm confused with the Fort Myers.
Or Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, yeah. Okay, well, let's just go see.
It's alright, we got time, you can let us up anyway.
A little bit.
Yeah, we'll walk the rest of the way. You got us most of the way, you're not bad.
Right.
Maybe the consolidator didn't sell us a ticket after all.
Yeah, these are exactly the kind of conversations that I like so much to put on my YouTube channel. You know,
Yeah, right.
with so much information and
Broad ranging, hasn't it?
very broad ranging.
We will now know what lightning does and all sorts of things.
Exactly.
Never knew that before.
Exactly. I'll probably put it as a slogan under the video, like, do you know what lightning does? Do you know the purpose of lightning?
You
in
need to
life?
watch. Yes. I learned something today. Do you know what lightning does?
Exactly.
Know the purpose
the
of lightning.
purpose of lightning.
Yeah.
in
Not what
life.
it does. Everyone knows what it does. It burns holes in things.
Exactly.
One of the irritations of Americans, and maybe they won't like this on your channel,
you're,
is
you're about
they-
to go say, here's
they
one of us.
defend their point of view to the death quite often, where they're not right, they have a viable point of view, and the more intellectual people are, the more they defend their point of view, believing they're right. And so many times the conversation will go in a division where the Republicans and the Democrats won't accept that both could be right and just have a viable point of view. And the other thing that's difficult is they don't let you get close to them easily. You don't get into their house. You don't get
Right.
invited to dinner. Not
Right.
like in Australia or Europe.
Right.
You would be warm to a stranger. They seem to not trust foreign nationals or strangers.
I see exactly where you're coming from.
And that doesn't mean we don't have amazing friends that
Yeah, it just takes longer to actually build those relationships with Americans than it seems to with other nationalities.
Exactly, yeah. And things are very politicized in
Yes.
the US because it's a two-party system.
And there's some, sometimes you wonder why some of these. I'm not very interested in politics, and it amazes me sometimes why something that appears to be common sense would be argued about at all. And then it becomes a divisive. Do you wear a mask or don't you wear a mask?
Yeah.
Well, it all depends on who you vote for. No, surely it should be a politically irrelevant discussion.
Exactly.
You may be on one side or the other, but at least your discussion should be based on
Science.
one would hope, yes, or at least
Right?
intellect.
Medical science.
intellect or
yeah.
a well-rehearsed argument that sounds right, whatever your point of view is, but
But not the political party
No.
of your state.
that's just an irrelevant. That's an irrelevance to a health issue.
Exactly. But that's how things go in the US, yeah.
Yes.
often.
Yes. And
That's why in California they are still wearing masks, and here there is no COVID here.
Well, there's never been COVID in Florida.
no. Sunshine's here, we don't have COVID. That'd be silly. You'll scare the tourists off. We wouldn't want that now.
So here it says American doors
That's fine.
1, 2, 3, or 4 to 8.
That's perfect. What I was telling you was where we were departing from, obviously. But this is perfect.
No, because this is all American.
Yeah.
And there is D. You said D, right?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll be fine here.
D, yeah, you said
Well,
D.
over
Yeah,
there,
it is D.
over there is D in
well,
in front of us.
I'm
So
down that
D
far.
I'll
American.
drop you off there.
Okay.
That's then doors 4 to 8. Let me see.
You really did make the time go fast, my love.
Also.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful meeting you guys. And I hope you guys have a wonderful flight, and especially a wonderful time in South Africa.
I'm
Don't-
sure we
don't
will.
get eaten by a hippopotamus. I consider that good advice. Still fun though, isn't it? It's on spits. It's on spits. Onto the ground.
They got it after you, but you still happy about it.